When Jesus gave his rebuke in Matthew 17, who was he rebuking? Some last thoughts on Matthew 17 with the demon-possessed boy. The disciples, there were actually only 9 of them because Peter, James, and John, they were with Jesus at the Transfiguration. The remaining 9 disciples tried to cast out this demon and they couldn't. They failed. And Jesus shows up and he issues a rebuke. But my question is, who is he rebuking? This story is also in Mark chapter 9 and Luke 9. And specifically in Luke 9, this story is found in great detail. If we look at the beginning of chapter 9, verse 1, we see that the disciples received power. They receive authority over demons. And yet here it is, a few verses later, they're not able to do it. That's very interesting. In verse 18, we can read that the Father admitted to Jesus that he told the disciples to cast out the demon. He didn't use the word ask. He told the disciples. It's almost like the Father didn't have faith to do it himself. So he's like, no, you guys do it. I can't do it. I'm telling you, you do it. That's how it comes across. And then later on in verse 24, the Father admits to Jesus he doesn't have a lot of faith. He even says, help my unbelief. It seems like in this situation, the dad didn't have the belief that his son could be healed. And so the disciples, they made an effort, but it didn't happen. This sounds a lot like Mark chapter 6. If you look in this situation, Jesus goes to Nazareth, and it says that Jesus was not able to do miracles in his hometown because of the unbelief of those people there. Jesus couldn't do miracles. How's he going to be rebuked? He couldn't do the miracles because of the people. And maybe in the same way, the disciples couldn't do a miracle because of the Father. And this same story is found in Luke chapter 9. Jesus gives his rebuke, and then in the same breath, he says, bring your son here. And here's one more thought. When I say the words, it is well with my soul, some of you who have cultural understanding know what I'm talking about. You know I'm talking about an old song, a hymn, and you can gain a bit of an idea of who I am, where I come from, that I would know this type of song. And you know what? It's the same thing with Jesus in this situation, with the Father and with the nation of Israel. Jesus said, you perverse and unbelieving generation. These same words were used by God in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32. And in that moment, when the Israelites heard those words, they had the cultural understanding to know that Jesus was reminding them that God back in Deuteronomy and Jesus at that moment was saying, you guys need to break free of your cycle of unbelief. You need to change. You need to believe. Those 9 disciples made an effort to cast a demon out of a boy, but it didn't work. And so Jesus says, you perverse and unbelieving people. Which do you think that describes better? Does that describe the disciples, or does that describe Israel? Look at the context. Which would Jesus use those words to describe? Jesus was upset that the Father and Israel did not yet understand that they can take authority over demons and not only rely on the disciples, or today for us, that we depend on pastors or priests to cast out demons. We as Christians can have the authority over the spiritual world. We just have to have the faith. We have to do it. Have that faith. All right, I got to go catch a train and get on home. God bless.